Good evening and welcome to episode 1 of season 3 of the Carla Palmer Show. You guys, I am so excited about today's episode. Number one, I'm excited because we're in season 3. Can you believe it? Season 3 of the Carla Palmer Show. I remember saying I'm going to start a talk show last year and I just made it happen. And the fact that I'm still moving strong with the show makes me want to give myself a pat on the back, to be honest with you. So I'm really excited about episode 1 of season 3. Got a really great guest in store for you guys today. You're going to absolutely love her the way that I do. We're going to be talking about domestic violence, talking about her acting career and her as an author. So I'm excited about that. But right now, I do want to talk to you about today's show sponsor. Today's show is sponsored by Crash Jewelry. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about the jewelry line, Crash Jewelry Line. It's a really beautiful jewelry line. Crash Jewelry makes sustainable cuffs, bangles, earrings, necklaces, and accessories from the metal of luxury automobiles that have been in minor accidents. Christy Shimke, the founder of Crash, came up with the idea to create fashion jewelry from cars when she moved her studio into her husband's Los Angeles body shop. So her husband's body shop specializes in repairs for late model Mercedes-Benz, BMWs, Audis, Bentleys, Porsches, Mini Coopers, Maseratis, and more. Shimke has a background in art history, and she began working with metal when she discovered her passion for jewelry fabrication after taking metal smith courses a few years ago. So you guys, this is a really beautiful jewelry line. I do own some of the Crash Jewelry line. I'm just going to show you a couple of the pieces. Here you see a Bentley bracelet or cuff, as you could, they call it a cuff. And also here's one lovely cuff made from a Porsche with a really beautiful design. And then we have these bangles here that you can also purchase at Crash Jewelry, and they're made from different types of automobiles. Each piece of Crash Jewelry is made by hand from cars with their original factory paint, and every item comes with a certificate of authenticity that states the type of car it came from and the date it was made. So visit Crash Jewelry. There you have the link, www.crashjewelry.com, and check it out. I think you will really, really like the jewelry there. So you guys, I'm Carla Palmer. Welcome to my show. I am wearing my Crash Jewelry. I do own Crash Jewelry, and I do have my certificates of authenticity. So that is true, and I get a lot of conversations around my jewelry. People absolutely love it from all walks of life. So get you some, okay? So today, you guys, we have a really great guest on the Carla Palmer Show. I am your host, Carla Palmer. I'm also known as Miss GYSB. GYSB, it stands for Get Your Sexy Back. That's my health and fitness movement. Over 10 years ago, a decade ago, you guys, I was successful with weight loss. I lost over 50 pounds, y'all, and I've been able to maintain that weight loss for the past 10 years. So my goal is to just share love and share my healthy living tips with everybody that I come in contact with. And also the Carla Palmer Show, you guys, that is just a continuation of my health and fitness movement, helping people to level up in wellness, depending on what area you need to level up in. Could be eating, could be working out, could be your relationships, your finances, a number of different things that make up optimal living. And so it's just you deciding which area that you need the most work in. All right, so you guys, I'm going to bring on our guest for today. Just give me 1 second. 1 second here. And this is our guest for today. Hi, Cortina.
Hello.
Guys, we're live with Cortina Jackson. Welcome to the show. You guys, let me tell you a little bit about Cortina. Cortina, if you don't mind, I'm just going to share your bio really quickly with everybody. So they can get a better sense of who it is that we're working with, talking with today. Cortina Jackson is the fiction author of On Earth as It Is in Hell, and The Sounds of Silence Are the Loudest. She is a domestic violence survivor and an advocate against all forms of abuse. She recently became an actress, appearing in the movie Beneath the Scar, and will appear in other short films and movies as well. She is a recent recipient of the Melbourne Women Award that will receive national recognition, as the campaign for this year will be women who have experienced the tragedy of domestic violence and Melbourne preserved. I hope I'm saying that word right. I have no idea. I've never seen it before. So hopefully I'm saying that word right. Am I saying it right? Is it Meldorn? Uh-oh, she froze. Oh my goodness. Okay. Cortina, if you can hear me, can you hear me? I think you're freezing. So go out and come in. Cortina also has worked in corrections, criminal justice, and law enforcement for many years. And are you okay? Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And she often has seen that life is scarier than fiction, which is often portrayed in her movies. She holds, in her novels, I'm sorry. She holds 2 master's degrees in safety and criminal justice, but would gladly leave it all behind to write, produce, and act full time. I'm sorry we had a glitch, but you got back in really quickly. I like the way
Yes.
you work.
Good deal.
I'm feeling that. I like the way you work. I just want to say hi to our guests who have joined in. Thank you for joining. I do see Mario is down there too. Hi, Mario.
Oh, awesome.
Thank you for being here.
Great supporter.
Yeah. So Cortina, I just, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate your willingness to, be transparent and talk about your journey through domestic violence and just to share that with other people. I think that's really important. I wanted to bring you on the show today because I don't think domestic violence is talked about enough in a way that really enlightens people about what it is and how you end up in situations like that. So I really wanted to bring someone on who was just a strong woman who found themselves in a domestic violence relationship. So I don't really know where we could start.
Right. Oh, wow. We can pretty much start from the beginning because, sometime the beginning of something, you kind of realize the foundation a person has gone through and kind of get a sense of people who are being abused because it's all kind of people, the ones you don't even think, the ones that are always happy, the ones that you see at work, your coworker that you think, wow, she's really got it together.
Yeah.
It's those people. So yeah.
Tell me how you met this man and how you ended up in the relationship with him to begin with. A little bit about your background too. You're a church girl.
Right. So basically, when people see me, they see the way I look all the time. I'm always smiling, always happy, very outgoing personality. But only recently have I had this type of persona about myself. Since I was a little girl, I've always been this way since I was a kid. Funny, silly, but oftentimes it was a front to hide a low self-esteem, very young, and I've had a lack of confidence. Okay. So my mom, as we said, my mom is a Christian woman. Mm-hmm. And we were raised Church of God in Christ. So we were the holiness church, always in church, always. And she kept me and my siblings very guarded, very protected. Mm-hmm. And so this is why we were in church all the time. And really, my only friends growing up were my cousins and family members. Mm-hmm. We grew up poor. And so we didn't have a lot. And so I took on a mother role for my cousins, everybody growing up. We all stayed with my grandmother while our parents worked, so it was a lot of cousins in my grandmother's house. And my grandmother was a very heavy-set woman, and she couldn't move around a lot. Mm-hmm. So at a very young age, I became the caregiver. Okay. So I made sure everyone was fed. I made sure everybody was entertained and protected. Okay. However, I had an older cousin that I was not protected from. And yes, this kind of shaped my future as far as my self-image. Yeah. And so I still had to be funny. I still had to be outgoing. I had to be, kind of accepting of what was going on. So I hid behind a mask. And a lot of times I refer to it as the clown mask because from a very young age, I already learned how to fake it. And pretend that I was happy, pretend that everything was going okay so that it wouldn't hurt anybody around me. I didn't want to hurt my mom's feelings. I didn't want anybody to know. So I kept very quiet.
Now, how old were you at this time?
I was probably about 8.
And so you thought about other people's feelings as an 8-year-old?
Already, as an 8-year-old, I was already thinking, because I already had to be kind of motherly, and I already felt like an adult because I'm feeding these guys, since
Yeah.
we were poor, I was the only one going to school. I would ask other people for their lunch. And I would hide their lunch in my backpack, cookies and different things, and take it
Oh,
home and feed everybody.
okay.
And so I was already kind of protective of them, and they
Mhm.
would cry and different things. So I always felt like I had to come home and be funny and,
Mhm.
hey, I'm home, and
Right,
everybody was
lifting
happy to
everybody's
see me.
spirits. Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
So here I was, broken inside. I had this appearance about me, but already at 8 years old, I was already broken inside and
Mhm.
wearing this clown mask that I was happy. So I had this low self-esteem, and so growing up, I ended up I got pregnant at 19 to my husband,
Okay.
and we had two children.
Okay.
So now I was things didn't work out between me and him,
Okay.
and we divorced.
Okay. So you got
So
married really young.
yes, yes. So we were together, me and my first husband, about 7 years,
Okay.
and after 7 years, like I said, it didn't work out. So here I am, divorced. I have two children and an even lower self-esteem.
Sure.
So I still had to wear my clown mask because I had kids. And
Mhm.
so I always had to show them happy mom, and things
Mhm.
are going great and things are okay. Well, at this time, my kids were sad because they wanted a dad.
Okay.
I was really okay. I did not want anyone at that time,
Well, were
but
they expressing that they wanted a dad to you?
they did because at 7 and 8 they wanted to join the Cub Scouts. This is how
Okay.
that first came about.
Yeah.
Everybody had a dad,
Everybody had a
and
dad.
then they weren't seeing their dad. He wasn't coming around anymore. So they began to cry all the
Mhm.
time, and
That's
I
hard.
felt bad. Um, I did give dating a try, but nothing was ever coming about that was like marriage material. It wasn't going in the direction of marriage. And so
Mhm.
I decided I'm just going to focus on God, and it's just going to be me and the Lord, and I'm not going to go that route. But because they were so insistent and I started to feel really bad about it, I decided to give dating a try.
Okay.
And this is when I met my abuser.
Okay. And
Um,
where did you meet him?
I met him on an online dating site.
Okay.
At that time, I worked for a prison. Here I am. I had very limited income after my divorce. So I got a job at the prison because they were paying well. And I was going to school full time because I really wanted something good for my kids. I really wanted a
Right.
good life for them, but I
Exactly.
couldn't provide it. So I was working hard. I'm going to school, I'm taking care of them, and so when I met him, unbeknownst to me, um, he was also a narcissist, and
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Okay.
Um, so as I met him, we dated a little while, and I began to notice signs.
Okay.
There were signs that I noticed that now looking back, I realized I ignored.
Okay.
Um, Everything, when you get married, of course, you tell your husband or your wife everything about yourself. That's what you do. You start telling. So he knew about my past abuse. He
Wow.
knew about things that went on. And a narcissist will always use things against you.
Mhm.
Um, they'll use your weaknesses against you. Um, he knew I was a godly person. Anything that was important to me, and take note of this, anybody else who's going through this, when it comes to a narcissist, anything important to you or seems to be your driving force, that is what will be used later.
Mhm.
Okay, so early in the relationship, he used to call me all the time.
Now this is before you got married.
This is right before we got married. Um, One of those signs that I didn't really pay attention to was he would call me all the time. And a person like myself who was going through low self-esteem, I thought
You
it
like
was, I
yeah.
did,
Yeah. All this
someone,
attention, right?
right, someone
Yeah.
saying they love me, and hey,
Yeah.
I'm thinking about you all the time. And I just thought, that's great.
Mhm.
But I began to notice that he became very insistent about my time.
Okay.
And so while we dated, he lived in Dallas, Texas. I lived in Lubbock, Texas. and that's about 5 hours away.
Oh, that's pretty far.
Yes.
Okay.
So, because we met online, a lot of it initially was conversation and just trying to
Mm,
get to know each other. And
mm,
so this is how, he called me all the time. That's why I
right,
thought, cute, cute, that's neat.
right.
But like I said, he was very insistent with my time to where if I was doing something with my kids and I'm on the phone, it is almost like he was upset that, hey, you know what? Call me back when you have time to talk to me. You
Oh,
know,
well, and this is when you were with your children.
right.
Okay, but that
Or
was a red flag in hindsight.
that was all in hindsight. It was a red
Okay,
flag. Even with my parents, if it was, something going on and it seemed to be loud, and I would, be trying to hear him, I'm sorry, it's a lot of people over here. Uh, well, you're talking to me right
right.
now, so
Figured
wow,
it out. Right.
right. And so I didn't, I thought, he's just really, that's not a big deal. He's
He just wants
kind
my
of
time.
pushy, but
Yeah, he just wants
right.
attention. Yeah,
So when he did ask me to marry him, I was all too willing. I was all too willing because he made a good salary.
yeah.
He was a police officer,
Oh, okay.
and
I think it's breaking up again. So you guys, sorry for the technical difficulties. Hopefully she can come back in and join the broadcast. Right now we are talking about domestic violence with Cortina Jackson. It looks like she's back in the picture now, right? Are you back?
I'm back.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yes. Yeah, sorry about that. It didn't even show on my end, so I
Yeah, that's okay.
apologize.
Yeah, I got it.
Um, yes, but I think I was saying that I left when he asked me to marry, asked to marry me. I left because a police officer's job is to protect and serve. Who could you be safer with than a police officer?
Right.
So I'm thinking, oh, I got it. Great. I'm going to be married to a cop. He makes a very good salary. I
My
get to
kids will be
leave.
taken care of. Yeah.
Right. Get to leave my hometown. Boom.
Yeah.
So I married him quickly. We didn't even date very long because he was everything I thought, online, that I wanted. I'm Church of God in Christ. He's Church of God in Christ.
Interesting.
Police officer. I want to be a police officer. Um, I grew up close to my family. He grew up close to his family.
Now, was his family where he was?
His family lived in Houston, Texas.
And how far was that from, you said Lubbock?
Um, Houston, Houston from Dallas is 5 hours.
Oh, okay.
Dallas from Lubbock is everything is about 5 hours. Everything truly is bigger in Texas because you can everything is spread out.
One of the things that I want to, just really make clear for people who are listening, one of the things that domestic violence abusers do is they move you away from your family and your
Exactly.
family. They isolate you. That is one of the signs. Now, if you with somebody and they ask you to move closer to them, doesn't mean that they're going to be beating you up. But that is something that you really need to think about, right? That's one of the red flags that you, in hindsight, see now. He was trying to get you away from people
Right.
who might be able to notice some things that are different with you.
Oh, definitely. Yes, that for sure. Because he was moving me further and further away. And when I did finally move to the Dallas area, those phone calls that I would have with my parents had to decrease. I
Interesting.
couldn't talk to them so much. You're always on the phone with your family when you should be paying attention to your man. So my phone calls to my family started, you know, I
Yeah.
almost felt guilty that I was calling my parents because he felt like I should be, hey, you're married now. You're no
Right.
longer, stop being a mama's girl and daddy's girl. You got a husband now. You have to. So I stopped communicating with them so much. The abuse started almost immediately.
Mm.
Immediately. We got married, and his abuse started 1 month after we were married. After I got to Dallas, one day it's almost like he snapped
Huh.
because we were having a conversation. He thought I'd said something about his family because we were talking about paper plates. And I said, oh, I don't need to eat on fine china like your family. We can eat off of paper plates.
Yeah.
And, I'm just kind of laughing it off. And he snapped, like he changed. Um, almost like, and I'll describe this later too on another incident. It's like his eyes blacked over and he
Oh
was
my goodness.
somebody I didn't even recognize. And he just, we had stairs in our apartment. So he kind of hit me and shoved me into the wall and he was yelling at me, "Don't you ever talk about my family. Don't you
Uh,
ever in your life." And
hmm.
I kind of stumbled down the stairs and I'm looking around like, what,
What did I do? Yeah.
right. And then it's like he snapped back to who he was and he was like, he realized, "Hey, I'm sorry. I'm
Hmm.
sorry. You know what? I'm stressed out." Then he started making all these excuses and
Hmm.
I'm like, "Oh my God, what just happened here?" And so he calmed me down. "Don't call the police. I'm so sorry."
Hmm.
That was followed up by a promise. And here's those other signs, and here's where I call it the merry-go-round marriage, because it was followed up by, "I'm so sorry. Guess what I'm gonna do for you and the kids? I'm about to buy y'all a house.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you pick out anything. You're fixing to have the baddest house in the Dallas Metroplex. I'm gonna give you the very best."
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I would never do that. I've never hit a woman before. Never in my life. I can't believe, man, I just been really going through it. So he promised to buy a house. And I always wanted things for my boys.
Sure.
And you know, like I said, my income wasn't good. This is why I thought I was living a better life. So I stayed.
Yeah.
And the abuse continued. Um, the abuse was a lot of, he grabbed me a lot, shoves into the wall,
Hmm.
thrown to the floor.
Hmm.
He would hit me, but never in my face.
Yeah. Because that's
Um,
visible. Yeah.
right. And a part of what a narcissist does, they want to present themselves as perfect. They always want people to see them as the good person or having, they want to show this macho persona and that they're all that.
Yeah.
So the part of the manipulation is that I bought into this persona that he presented. And so I was careful in hiding my bruises. I was
Yeah.
very careful in what I wore, protecting our secret.
Yeah.
Not even realizing I'm protecting this bad thing. I didn't want anybody to know. It was embarrassing. I still worked in criminal justice and in law enforcement type roles, so I definitely didn't want people to know that this was happening.
Was he doing it in front of the children?
Um, I thought that I was hiding it.
Yeah.
Now I realize I wasn't hiding anything. He
Yeah.
never physically assaulted me in front of them. They always saw the bruises. They
Yeah.
always heard the arguments.
Hmm.
Um, he would kick us out of the house sometime. He wanted us to have joint accounts, so he got in the habit of when we would argue, he would freeze the account where I couldn't get any money.
Yeah.
And so that's when he would kick us out the house.
Yeah. Where
These
would you guys go when you would get kicked out?
um, I got into the habit. At first, we had nowhere to go, and sometime I would have to sleep in the car.
Hmm.
Um, but then I started getting wise and started. I always carried cash, always, because I
Hmm.
never knew when we were going to be kicked out the house
Hmm.
or he was going to do something like that. So to the boys, I would make it sound like we were having a mom and Sunday, and here I am playing that clown. Guys, we are fixing to have a night out, just mom and son. We're going to get a room. We're going to go out to eat. Tried to make it fun to where it looked like,
Yeah.
you know, let's get away from dad day.
Hmm.
Like I said, they knew. I never knew they knew, but they
Yeah.
always knew.
Yeah.
So um, part of what he would do as well is the abuse that I told him about. If we got into it, he would hang that over my head. "I'm going to tell your family that you were abused. I'm going to
Oh.
tell your son what happened to you."
Yeah.
So I was always walking on eggshells, always, um, always very careful. Now, the thing that also made me stay in this is that, like I said, things were followed up with gifts. So when things were good, They were great. We
Huh.
were, we were going on vacation. We had all kind of trips. He would buy me cars. And when I'm telling you all these things were happening, it followed by a huge episode in which he would either beat me up really bad and kick us out the house. Something really bad would happen. A day or so would pass. He would ask me to forgive him, and then my second vice was God. Forgive me, God is working on me.
Yeah.
Satan is busy in our lives. I've been praying since you've been gone, and
Yeah.
I need counseling. This went on for years with him needing counseling. God is God is going to keep us together. Satan is just busy in our life. It was always that.
Now, how long were you with him?
We were married for 9 years.
Oh, that's a long time of abuse.
Long time, yes, a long time of abuse. Uh, During that time, I too became a police officer.
Okay.
During
So
that time,
what allowed you to pursue your dreams?
I really, I've always wanted to be a police officer. I've always
Mhm.
wanted to be a homicide detective. This was not new to him. However, when I pursued it, he acted like it was brand new. Like, why would you want to be a police officer? Why can't you be a nurse? Why
Yeah.
can't you do girl roles? Why do you
Right.
got to do a man's job? Then it became new. When I was pursuing the police career, the abuse got worse.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, anytime I tried to pursue anything productive in my life
Hmm.
that he felt like was breaking him away from my need for him, the
Or
abuse.
overshadowing his career.
Yes.
Hmm.
I say that because that's another red flag to look for in a narcissist. They want you to support their dreams.
Yeah.
They thrive on you supporting their dreams. But if you want to do something in your life, they almost talk you out of it. Like it's just the
Hmm.
dumbest idea. And why would you do that? No, you don't need to do that. You don't even have to work. No wife of mine has to work. He,
Right.
he never wanted me to work.
Hmm.
Never. But I always used to say to myself, he who holds the money holds the power.
Yeah.
Because whatever he gave to us, he made sure that we knew he did it.
Yeah.
Uh,
It was his. Hmm.
right. I paid for this house. Y'all can get out. I
Yeah.
bought that shirt you got on. You can go ahead and take that off. Anything
Yeah.
he gave to us came at a price we began to learn. So I got to where I didn't even want to accept gifts from him. I didn't want Christmas gifts, anything, because
Hmm.
later on that was something he was going to take back from, give me that. Give me my computer back. I bought that.
Now, did
So
he hit your children as well? Did he spank them?
he did. He tried to discipline my children. And here's too why the abuse really grew in our relationship. He felt like I'm the dad, and I'm gonna give out the corporal punishment.
Yeah.
So my kids, they made bad grades in school one day. He got them home. He stripped them completely naked
Mm-mm.
and began to beat them with a belt.
Mm-mm.
And he beat them so long and so hard
Oh my gosh.
that I had to go and intervene. And I told him after that, I said, "You will never whip my kids again." I said, I will take care of the punishment for
Right.
kids." And he hated that. Oh my gosh. The biggest part of our arguments were always the kids because then he grew a jealousy and a resentment for them.
Yeah.
He resented them. If they got in trouble, um, he just felt like I'm paying all the bills here.
Hmm.
Y'all are living in my house,
Yeah.
but I can't whoop them. And
Right.
and so he took the abuse out on me, and I took it. I took the brunt of everything because I felt like this was my sacrifice for my kids living in a nice house,
Hmm.
going to a nice school district. I
Yeah.
thought it was my dues to pay.
Yeah.
That sounds real silly, I know, but I felt like I was paying dues.
Hmm.
We got
You
the
feel
nice,
like you always feel like it's going to get better at some point.
yes,
If you just hold on for a little while longer, one of those promises that he's making to get better, it's going to happen. Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
right.
So what was the final, how did you get out?
Well, unfortunately, after, like I said, we were married about 9 years. On the
Uh-huh.
ninth year, by then, he had moved me even further away from my family. My
Oh,
kids
you
were
got
going.
another house.
We moved to Houston. We were in Dallas. He talked me out of my police career.
Oh
That's
no.
another story altogether. The career that I had longed for so many years. Um, he right before I graduated, he cut my neck with his fingernails. He had with his four fingers, he ripped across my neck and opened my neck up. So like the skin was hanging.
Oh God.
And up until then, I'd never told anybody about my abuse. I was very quiet, always happy. At the police academy, I was working really hard. Um, he was trying to keep me from being a police officer. I would be trying to study my law and the penal code. And he would say, "Hey, you're home. You need to cook. You need to spend time with your man." So I was always crying and studying as I'm driving in the traffic, and I would get home and my kids would be home, and I would be happy. Well, when he cut my neck open, it brought about attention. And
Okay.
so then everyone found out. And
Oh,
this
they started asking you. You started telling them.
yes.
Mm.
So he ended up getting fired from his department. We worked for two different police departments. They did a huge investigation and he ended up getting fired from his department.
For being an abuser.
Right. They
Oh, you
found
did it then. Oh yeah.
here I am protecting our secret, like a Stepford wife. I know that went for those who are under 40 years old who don't know
Right.
what Stepford wives are, they were almost robotic. I know. I always say that, and then I think about the demographic, but the Stepford wives all acted the same. In our family, we all acted like he wanted us to act.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. So I'm protecting him, and no, you guys, he didn't mean to do that, and I'm protecting. Please don't y'all fire him, because I knew if they fired him, the abuse was going to be worse.
Yeah.
Plus, I had to show that, hey, it wasn't me. I didn't turn you in. It
Yeah.
was, and this is, a lot of people they wonder why people being abused protect their abuser.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not so much protection as it is fear.
Yeah.
That when the police come and say, "Ma'am, are you being abused?" They have to show to their spouse, no, no, so that if he goes to jail and he gets out, she can say, "I didn't turn you in.
Yeah.
It wasn't me." Because the abuse will be worse.
Yeah.
Sometimes your life is at risk.
And your
Sometimes
children.
your
Yeah.
children are at risk. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you have to play the game. And so I had to play this game. When he got fired, he talked me out of my job and told me, "I think we need to move. I think we need to move to Houston. And the boys are going off to college, and I think we just need a change of pace. The kids are out of the house, and I just really want to be a good husband to you. And I'm going to go to Houston, and I'm going to get counseling."
Mm. Mm-mm.
And he got a great job. He started working for the oil company in Houston. His job, he made my salary and his put together. And again, he said, "Let's move to Houston. You don't have to work. You
They
don't
didn't
have
do any reference checks on this
to
man.
know." That's the that's the thing that troubles me. No, no. Uh,
Okay.
he got hired so quickly at this oil company, and they just he's a master manipulator.
Yeah.
So the thing about him, he's a great talker and he's a
Mm-hmm.
charmer.
Yeah. Probably very smart. Mm-hmm.
They loved him because he could talk and he knew something about everything. Just thought he was just so smart, and people thought he
Yeah.
was this great guy. He's so intelligent.
Yeah.
So we moved to Houston. I had no friends. I had no family. My kids were not there. They were in college, states away. They went to Wisconsin. And
Yeah.
so I'm here. I'm sad. I'm depressed. I started writing this book. And he would see me always writing in this book, always writing. And at the same time, I'm getting my master's degree.
Oh
So,
wow.
as I told you before, he never liked that I was trying to get ahead in life.
Right.
So, um, as I'm living in Houston, as I'm increasing, I find out he's cheating big time, and that he
Oh
had
my
been doing it
goodness.
the entire relationship.
Sure. Yeah.
When I found this out, at this time I had a gun. When he found out that I knew, miraculously, my gun was stolen 3 days later.
Interesting.
Right. So it was a couple of weeks after this. I was already starting to think, it's time for me to make my move and leave. It's
Right.
time to start. I've been working a little bit. I've saved up this money. I need to leave. And it was one day, a couple of days before my birthday, that he tried to kill me.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. And this is ultimately what caused me to leave. What happened was that very day, I was working on my book. It was the day, and it's important for me to tell this. The day was perfect. We were not really arguing. We
Hmm.
were going to go celebrate my birthday that day,
Mm-hmm.
and he brought me a cup of coffee that morning and said, "Hey, the Dallas Cowboys are playing today. I'm gonna watch the game, and after the game, I'm gonna take you to a restaurant, and
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna celebrate your birthday because it's the weekend." And I was like, "Oh, great, great, that sounds great." I said, "Okay, well, while you're watching the game, I'm gonna work on my book and kind of do some things." So that day, he was watching the game, and I'm working on the computer and I'm trying to make business cards and I couldn't get it. So usually when he watched the game, he kind of slumped in his chair and he would be watching the game and really getting into it. Well, I looked over my shoulder at him and I was kind of frustrated. I said, "I can't get it." I said, "Could you help me?" But when I looked at him, I noticed he wasn't watching the game. He was staring at me with this.
Oh.
He had this cold look. Can y'all
Huh.
still? He was giving me this cold stare and like just staring right at me. And I kind of frowned.
That's so scary.
I said, I can't get. He said, yeah, I'll help you in a little bit.
Huh.
So I went back to work. I was working on something else, and I was just like, oh, just to myself, oh, I can't get it. And I heard him come up behind me over my shoulder, and he like when I looked at him, the way I told you earlier how his eyes had blacked
Yeah.
over the first time, his eyes looked I could only describe as demonic, like
Yeah.
a look I've never seen in my life. It was a very scary, cold look. He wiped everything. My book, my pages went flying. Um, the computer fell to the floor, and he hit me and knocked me over all my pages. I'm thinking, what did I do? Was it
Yeah.
what happened? What's going on? He stood over me. "You're so stupid. I told you I would help you, but you're so stupid. You can't do anything." And I'm just shocked. I'm like, what's going
Right.
on? So my pages, I wrote my book on paper, and I was thinking he's fixing to tear up all my pages that
Yeah.
I've been working on. So I started gathering those up, and I'm like crawling and crawling with these pages, and I ran to the closet and like threw the pages in a book bag in the closet while he's still yelling and so I came out and I acted like I was hurt because
Yeah.
I knew that if he saw me throw those pages, he would think, "Oh, oh, it's the book, huh? Let me
Yeah.
go." So I was like, why are you doing this? I don't understand." He grabbed me around my neck and he put me in a headlock and he
Mm.
began to twist my head. And he couldn't do it that way, so he grabbed me under my chin and began to like
He was trying
snap,
to break your
snap,
neck.
trying to break my neck. And I could hear loudly my bones were cracking. Each time he
Mm.
did it, my head was going further and further back.
Mm.
So it wasn't working. I was in pain. My neck was cracking, and I just got sad. Like right away, I knew that I was about to die.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, I just got, I know this was in seconds, but it felt like it was forever. And I was just thinking, this is how I'm about to die. And I
Yeah.
began to think about my sons and my family. I said, they don't even know.
Yeah.
They can find me dead. This is how they're going to find me later. I don't know that they'll find me right away, but this is how I'm going to die. Something told me immediately, instead of giving up, because I almost gave up. He was cracking. I was tensing up and he was cracking, but something told me, tuck your chin into
Mm-hmm.
your chest. And I fell to the ground and got in the fetal position and I just held it there. And he couldn't get a grip on me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I jumped up immediately and ran to the back room um, to grab the stolen gun.
Yeah. Yours. He's gonna
Yes.
kill you with your own gun.
While he was gone, I jumped up and I used to have a habit of hiding my purse and my keys because he would take those things. When we got in an argument, he would always steal my keys so I couldn't go anywhere. I got in the habit of hiding these things in places where I knew. And so I jumped up, I grabbed my keys. I had it hidden in the kitchen under some pots. And I grabbed my purse.
How did you have time to get all that stuff?
Luckily, where I landed in the was not very far from the kitchen. And while he was in the back room going to, I could hear him opening, the closet to get it. I ran and grabbed those things and opened the door, and I ran and got in the car and I fled.
Oh
And
my gosh.
yes, it was. I was able to get away. I spent the night out in my car. I was used to doing that.
Yeah.
Next day, I went to work.
Oh.
I was so in shock. I went to work and I collapsed and I told them I'm being abused. I'm
Mm.
being abused, and he tried to kill me.
Mm.
They sprung into action. They called the police. He was arrested.
Mm.
I had 1 day to get my things together because he called me from jail and said, "Hey, I forgive you. I forgive you. It's okay.
Narcissistic behavior 101 right there. I forgive
Yeah,
you.
I forgive you. Go get my credit card. I got a credit card hidden, and I can bail out at 10% of the bail. And so get me out,
Great.
and we'll work this out when I get home." And I knew when I hung up the phone, I said, "This is it.
Yeah.
I'm not going back." And so gathered up all my things and I fled and I went back to Dallas, and
Huh.
that was it.
And he never tried to find you because a lot of times they'll stalk you for the rest of your life.
I was afraid of this. He After I left, we did go through divorce proceedings. He started acting very nice again.
Mm-hmm.
"Hey, I'm sorry about everything. Please forgive me." And I got to go to court. I wasn't even interested in coming back for the court date. I was so
Yeah.
afraid to go
Sure.
back.
Sure.
He's a police officer. Or security. He could always say, I'm packing my gun for different. I didn't even want to go back. I didn't
So
even
when
go.
he got fired from the police force, did he have to give up his gun or no?
He did. He had to give up his gun, but he still carried.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
he bought the gun for me because
Mm-hmm.
he couldn't carry a gun anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So when I had my gun, he bought it. He said for me, but that I learned that that was for his own purposes. That
Yeah.
he had purchased that gun. It was for him to use on me. And so, yes, it was a hard road. I got away and I went through bouts of depression. I felt worthless in life. I felt suicidal. I didn't want to live anymore, even though I got away and things were
Mm-hmm.
good. I was so happy to be away, but things were still very hard for me.
Mm-hmm.
One day, I told God, I was in my own apartment, I said, "God, if you don't help me, I'm going to die." And when
Mm-hmm.
I said I'm going to die, it meant I'm going to kill myself.
Yeah.
And that that next day, I made a domestic violence. I'm on several domestic violence forums on Facebook. I
Mm-hmm.
decided to make a video to encourage them.
Mm-hmm.
What I did, people started pouring into me and praying for me, and,
Mm-hmm.
and I decided to do a gratefulness journal. And the moment at first I did the gratefulness journal and I was sarcastic about it. And, I thought, I'm going to start every day saying something I'm thankful for. And
Yeah.
then I'm going to write down something that I want to happen in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And as I did that on day one, instantly my life changed. Instantly, I began to write down, I love myself. I
Mm-hmm.
forgive myself. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I forgive my abusers. I want to be whole. I want to be well. And and things began to happen, and I started getting happier and happier. As things are happening, I'm thinking, wow, this thing works. So
Yeah.
I wrote down, I would love to act. I've always wanted to be an actress. I wrote
Mm-hmm.
that down. And one day I want to be on the radio. And
Okay.
one day and it's little things. I want a ring light, because I see people have a ring. Everything
Yeah.
I wrote, it seemed like I would get it. And I'm telling you, instantly, I would get it. I
Mm.
needed money. I didn't have much money. and I was still trying to be thankful. So I would be going to work with $10 in my pocket, and payday wasn't for another 2 weeks. And I
Mm,
would say, I'm thankful that I have a job, and I
mm,
meant it. And the more I meant it, money just would happen. I would
yeah,
get unexpected checks, or someone would say, "Hey, I want to bless you with a little something." And
yeah.
y'all, I became an actress. I got my first role, a domestic violence role, and I played the part in Beneath the Scar. Was my first role that I got in the movie. I play a woman abused by her police officer
Are
husband.
you kidding? That's what that's about?
Yes, the director didn't know, and
Are
I
you
didn't know that
serious?
this was what the part was about. And when I
Oh,
got that role, I was so stunned that I was playing the part of what really happened to me in real life.
right.
And so I was able to deliver that role. And from there, because I got that role and I realized I'm not in that anymore, it made me
Yeah,
even more grateful. And
yeah.
the more I became grateful, I got another role. And then I got another role. And then someone asked me to be in their short film. And when they saw me in that short film, they asked me to be in another one. And
Mm,
then I got to be on the radio. I was on a radio show. Everything, when I go back and read that gratefulness journal, I see that everything I wrote down, I got it. And, it's so important. Um, they say, forgive the people who have hurt you. It's
yeah.
so important that you do. You're not forgiving them for them. You're forgiving them for you. You
Mm,
must forgive. You won't forget. Um, Sometimes things won't be easy. You'll still be hurt, but you've got to forgive, and you've got to realize your worth, and you've got to be grateful because even in your abuse, even in my abuse, I was so grateful.
mm,
Um, you, I really
mhm.
am. I'm so grateful. And because I am, I continue to be blessed. I
Yeah.
continue to get these things that, y'all, I've never acted a day in my life. I've never had acting classes ever.
Wow.
And I'm getting role after role. There are people who are asking me, hey, how do you get these roles? And I don't even know. And I'm acting, and the directors are saying, wow, you're really good. What
That's so
acting
cool.
classes have you had? And I haven't. But I just, I'm always so thankful. And
Yeah.
I'm always so grateful for people in my life because, y'all, there's so many bad people in the world. It's
Yeah.
so many bad, evil people. And so when you meet people who are good to you, that's what makes me so. When I'm on Facebook, when people see me, I'm always pouring into people and I'm always encouraging people. That comes from a genuine place because it's hard to find good people. It's
Yeah.
real hard. So when you find a good person in your life, you
Keep
pour
on.
into them. And
Yeah.
when people are good to you back, you just be thankful and be
Yeah.
grateful. And so I am, and I continue to soar, and I'm getting awards and all kind of things. And I don't do that to ever brag, but I always want to testify, especially to people going through domestic violence, that you know you're going through, realize your worth, and safely try to get out because there's a road ahead for you that God intended for you to have. He never intended for you to be hurt and go through these things. He intends nothing but the best for you. And if you're not living your dreams, you're not living in the promise that He has for you. So,
Hmm. What would
yeah.
what would you, that's a powerful story. Thank you so much for sharing. What would you say to if someone's listening to this broadcast, if they're like a replay viewer or is currently in the broadcast and they're experiencing something like domestic violence and they're afraid, what would you say would be like the first piece of advice, like the first step for them to get some help or to remove themselves from the situation that they're in, since it's so scary?
Yes, it is scary. And sometimes the abuser will hold the kids against you. If you leave,
Yeah,
I'll hurt the kids.
yeah,
Um, or a lot of abusers, like in my case, don't want you to work. So a lot of people being abused, they don't have a job, and so they have nowhere to go um, uh, financially, and they feel stuck. And so I encourage you to start reaching out. There are so many domestic violence. Forums and groups. There are people who do care. There are people out there. I'm now part of the Texas Warriors Against Domestic Violence, where we try to help find not just shelters, because sometimes shelters fill up. There's no more room. It's that many people being abused. But I encourage you, tell someone. I know you try to keep it a secret. I know
Yeah.
you fear of what people will think or say, or it may get back to the abuser, but try
Yeah.
to someone, because if it wasn't for someone, I would still be in it. I would be dead. But when I finally told my supervisor, I was even scared of the consequences. He's going to get out of jail. He's
Yeah.
going to get out. And when I left, it was on blind faith. I had no money really and no place to go. I just drove to Dallas and I prayed the whole way. And when I got there, an apartment complex let me stay there for 2 months rent free.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
my former supervisor made a way where I could work at another company in Dallas. Like doors begin to open, and
Hmm.
I just encourage you, tell someone, find
Okay.
someone that you can trust. It's important, and do so safely.
Yeah.
Try not to tell your abuser what you're doing. It's dangerous.
Very.
It's dangerous when you say, I'm leaving, I'm out of here, because now they have a plan how to stop you.
Yeah.
So try to not tell your left hand what your right hand is doing.
Yeah.
Keep things to yourself until you can safely remove yourself from the situation.
I want to share a couple of facts before we go. I mean, and I apologize we're over time, but I just didn't want to cut it short today because I felt like I needed to allow her to finish her story, because I feel like somebody needed to hear this, and will be better for it. So I wanted to share a few statistics. 1 out of 4 women will experience domestic violence in her lifetime, and that's a lot of women.
Yes.
Wanted to share that fact, and then there was another fact that domestic violence is a third leading cause of homelessness among families in this country. And I know that I am not the only person who has seen women on the street with their children. You don't know what that lady has been through. You don't know what these people have been through. And I am a person who I give to the homeless whenever I can. It
Yeah.
may not always be money, but it may be some food, or it may be an extra jacket. This lady asked me at the grocery store one day. I came out and she said, "Do you have?" I was going in. Sorry. She said, "Do you have an extra jacket in the back of your trunk or a blanket that I can have?" And I said, I got something back there. I knew I had something in there that I could give her. I didn't care what it was.
Yes.
I feel like, when we have discussions like this and we are enlightened about people's different situations and how they come to be, whether they're homeless or, living in a shelter, we have to help people because we don't know their story. And if we're
Right.
able, I feel like we're obligated to do that. No matter what, you don't have to ask them a bunch of questions. You don't have to be in their business, but don't assume that the person is on drugs or they're out there because it was something that they did wrong. A lot of people
Yeah.
are fleeing really terrible situations.
Right.
When you see young people on the street who are kids, a lot of times they're leaving really terrible situations in their home. So, I just want that stigma around homelessness and around domestic violence victims and foster youth, because I work with foster youth. I want
Mm,
that to be removed because you don't know people's story. And that's why
right.
it's important to listen to talks like this and to really pay attention to what people are saying who have experienced domestic violence or homelessness or any situation that isn't ideal. We need to hear the story behind it whenever we can.
Yes.
John Mayberry has a comment here, and he said, "We are definitely obligated to help." I'm so glad that he is a person who agrees with me.
Yes. Thank
John
you.
is a minister, so he definitely understands homelessness and domestic violence and other situations that people are going through. And Mario gives us a yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Mario is enjoying the show as well. I want to make sure that people have an opportunity to reach you or to get your books.
Yes.
Can you
Yes.
tell them where they might be able to get your items?
Absolutely. The book that I was writing that he tried to kill me over was On Earth as It Is in Hell. If y'all can see that.
Mm-hmm.
That and my second book is The Sounds of Silence Are the Loudest. Those are available at www.cortinajackson.com.
Okay, let me put that
Um,
up there. www. Let me see here, just so
yes,
you can see it. www.cortinajackson.com.
jackson.com.
Uh-oh, I got to spell it right. They won't be able to find it.
Oh, I'm telling you.
All right. They can
Yes, you can also find out my next acting. I always update the website. Yes, perfect. To let you know my next acting. As I said, I finished Beneath the Scar. As soon as I'm done with this broadcast, I have some scenes to film tonight, so I'm very excited. The Things We Do for Love is the film I'm doing tonight, and I have another short film next week and a movie called The Family.
Wow.
I have another movie that we'll be filming this summer, and so I just thank God for everything. So please follow me on Facebook. Thank you.
Okay.
Follow me on Facebook at Cortina Jackson, or if you type in "On Earth as It Is in Hell," that's where you will find my author page. And
Oh, okay. And that's on Facebook too. On Earth as
yes,
It Is in
yes. So
Hell. And
please
that,
follow me. I love to meet people. Instagram, Miss Tina underscore the writer, Miss Tina
Mhm.
underscore the writer, and Twitter at Tina the writer. And I just think I'm so humbled and thankful. And thank you so much. Those who are
Thank you.
watching, I just pray that this helps someone and
I
touches
do too.
someone.
I do too. And yeah, I mean, I don't have anything else to say. I mean, it was just a wonderful testimony. I'm so glad you were able to get out of that situation, and now you're
Yeah.
thriving and happier for leaving. And
Yes.
many blessings to you and much success to you in your acting career and more books to come, I'm sure.
Yes.
So we will definitely be looking out for you. And I thank everyone for being here. Thank you to the replay viewers who will watch the replay.
Yes.
If you
Thank
have any
you.
questions or you want to DM Cortina, please do. If you're in a situation that is scary, it sounds like she might be the person who may be able to give you some sound advice to help
Yes.
you get out of that situation. If you have a friend who you think may be being abused, what should they say to that friend? If they have an inkling that something is going on, something isn't right, what should they say?
You should say, if you need anything, you can always depend on me. You don't have to be pushy or keep on asking. Just say, if what can I do to help you?
Got it.
That is what can I do to help you?
Okay. Don't call him out on it. Don't say,
Right.
is he hitting you or she hitting you?
Because
Like,
they're
don't.
always going to say no. They're
Okay.
always going to say no. I'm good. We're fine.
Okay.
Say,
Okay.
yes,
Okay.
yes. Be that person so that when they are ready to tell, they know I got this one person that I can probably tell and they'll help me.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yes.
Okay. If anybody wants to have Cortina on their show, on the radio show or
Please.
broadcast, please contact her. Let's get this message out, you guys. This is a
Please.
great message, and people need to hear it. So I'm going to close out now. Thank you guys for joining, and we will see you next week on the Carla Palmer Show, same time, same place, right here. Talk to you soon. Okay. Good
Thank
night.
you. Bye bye. Good night.